They say trust is the foundation of every marriage. You build it brick by brick, year after year. Well, my wife's been building something lately, just not with me. 2 hours at the gym, 5 days a week, Pilates, spinning, steam room sessions. Folks call that dedication. I call it a red flag worth investigating. Name's Robert Hayes, 42, captain in the United States Army. Been serving this country for 18 years, seen 3 deployments, earned my rank through grit and discipline. After my last tour in Germany ended 8 months ago, I got stationed at Moffett Federal Airfield here in San Jose. Bought a Spanish-style home in Willow Glen, adopted a German shepherd named Major, and settled into what I thought was the good life. My wife, Jessica, she's 38. Sharp, ambitious, works in tech marketing. When we met at a veterans fundraiser 7 years ago, I was fresh off my second deployment, lonely, focused only on orders and missions. She brought laughter back into my world, color into the gray. I thought we complemented each other. Her ambition, my steadiness. But you can't build on a foundation you can't see cracking. Last Tuesday started ordinary. My Jeep Wrangler threw a belt on Highway 101. Engine seized up outside Sunnyvale. So I borrowed her Tesla Model Y, the one that smells like vanilla and expensive perfume. Smooth, silent, spotless. She treated that car like a sacred space. I planned to swing by Elite Fitness around 8 p.m. to pick her up. Maybe grab acai bowls after. Just a small gesture in an ordinary week. But life has a way of revealing truth in the smallest moments. It was still bright when I pulled into the gym's parking lot. California evening sun bouncing off windshields, palm trees casting long shadows. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see rows of equipment, people running nowhere fast, dance music pulsing, songs about forever and perfect bodies. The security guard approached before I could find a spot. Tall guy, buzz cut, friendly demeanor. His badge read Marcus. He waved and called out, "Hey man, you're earlier than usual today." She forgot this. He held up a navy blue gym duffel. "She?" I asked. "Yeah, your wife. Her husband dropped it off this morning." My hand tightened on the steering wheel. Her husband? If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below about what you think is going to happen next and smash that like button. Trust me, you don't want to miss where this goes. Marcus nodded casually. "Yeah, the guy in the white Porsche Cayenne. Happens all the time, man. People forget stuff. We just pass it along." I didn't correct him, didn't react. I just smiled the way trained soldiers do and said, "Appreciate it." Then I parked the Tesla, cracked the windows, and let the California air settle thick around me. The bag sat on the passenger seat, small but suddenly heavy, like it carried secrets I wasn't ready for. For a moment, I told myself to just take it inside, play dumb, wait for her. But instinct is something you sharpen in the field, and mine was screaming. I unzipped it. Inside, a towel, body spray, a wireless charging pad, and a men's tag Hoyer Carrera. Steel case, still keeping time. Under that, a folded polo shirt from Nordstrom, men's size XL. I lifted it carefully, felt warmth trapped in the fabric, and underneath found a folded receipt. Boulevard Restaurant, Palo Alto, California. Dinner for two, $327.50. Tip 22%. Name on the reservation, Derek Chen. The hum of the climate control turned hollow. My pulse didn't race. It dropped, like a stone into deep water. I folded everything back exactly as I'd found it, zipped the bag, and sat there for a long time, watching people come and go, oblivious. At 8:16 p.m., Jessica came out. Hair damp, phone in hand, face glowing like she'd just finished the best workout of her life. Too radiant, too satisfied. "Oh, babe, you got the Jeep fixed?" she asked, cheerful. Maybe too cheerful. "No," I said calmly. "Took your car instead. Hope that's fine." She blinked. Quick smile. "Of course. Why are you waiting out here? You could have texted." "I like the view," I said, holding up the gym bag. "Marcus said your husband dropped this off." That smile faltered, just for a fraction of a second. Fast. Most men would have missed it. "My what?" she said. "The guard said your husband brought it earlier." She laughed, thin, nervous. "Oh, that. He must have meant one of the trainers. Everyone jokes around here." I nodded slowly, like I believed her. "Yeah, Must be that. We drove home with the radio on low, NPR murmuring about interest rates and policy debates, the kind of silence that fills every space between words. She kept her phone in her lap, thumb scrolling like it held oxygen. At one point, a text flashed across the screen. Derek. I didn't say a word, just watched the headlights wash over the dashboard, lighting up the wedding ring she never took off. That night. While she slept, I sat in the kitchen with the lights off and poured myself 2 fingers of bourbon. The bottle made a soft glug-glug, like a heartbeat underwater. I opened the gym bag again, turned the Tag Heuer over in my hand. The second hand swept smooth, steady, calm, merciless. I thought of every mission brief I'd ever studied, every plan I'd executed under pressure. You don't rush in the field. No shouting. You assess. You plan. And when the time comes, you execute. I didn't feel angry. Anger is chaos, and I've had enough of chaos. So I made a quiet promise to myself that night. I wasn't going to yell or beg or confront blindly. I was going to gather intelligence. You don't throw away 18 years of discipline over one lie. You measure how deep it runs. The next morning, the house smelled like fresh coffee and dog kibble. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen windows in sharp angles. Jessica was upstairs getting ready for work, moving slower than usual. Maybe tired. Maybe thinking. Hard to tell. After all, liars move the same as honest people, just quieter. I finished my coffee, clipped Major's leash, and took him for a run around the neighborhood. Sprinklers hissing. Morning joggers nodding. Everything normal. Normal life is the best disguise. It hides rot under fresh paint. By 9:30, I was back home. Changed into civilian clothes, drove the Tesla back to Elite Fitness, and parked across the street. The morning crowd had thinned, mostly retirees and stay-at-home parents finishing yoga. Marcus the guard leaned against his booth with an iced coffee. "Morning, Captain," he called when he saw me. "She forget something else?" I smiled. "Nah. Just curious about the guy you mentioned yesterday, the one in the Porsche." He grinned. "Oh yeah, Derek Chen. Trainer here, real popular. Helps a lot of the ladies with their fitness goals. Your wife's one of his premium clients." "Good for her," I said. "Yeah, they work great together. Same vibe, you know?" I nodded, thanked him, and walked away. Same vibe. That phrase stuck. It usually means someone's forgotten where home is. Back at the house, I dialed a number I hadn't used in months. A voice answered, rough, familiar. Lieutenant Hayes, or should I say Captain now? "Brady," I said. "It's been a while." Staff Sergeant Tom Brady, MP. We'd served together in Korea. He worked private security now. Discreet, thorough, no questions asked. "What do you need?" he asked. "Eyes on someone. Quiet job. Trainer named Derek Chen. Works at Elite Fitness in San Jose." Brady paused. "You think he's crossing lines with Jessica?" "I think he's getting paid for more than personal training." He chuckled low. "Give me 4 days." 4 days later, Brady showed up at my house carrying a tablet and 2 coffees from Pete's. He dropped the tablet on the kitchen table. Didn't take long. Inside, photos. Jessica and Derek at a wine bar in Los Gatos. Candlelight between them, his hand covering hers. Another shot, them walking through Santana Row, his arm brushing her waist. Timestamp, last Saturday afternoon. "Guy's 35, Brady said. "Divorced. Got fired once in LA. Same reason, boundary issues with clients. Nothing criminal, but a pattern." I stared at the photos, jaw tight. "You sure these are recent? Timestamps don't lie. And here's your bonus." He swiped to another image. Hotel invoice. Cavallo Point Lodge, Sausalito, room 308. Checked in Friday, 3:18 p.m. Checked out Sunday, 10:42 a.m. I took a slow breath. "That's efficient." Brady studied me. "You gonna blow up, or you gonna build a plan?" I smiled faintly. "You know me, Brady. Reconnaissance first, strike second." That night, I pulled up Elite Fitness's member agreement online. Halfway down, section 6.3. Trainers are strictly prohibited from personal or romantic relationships with active clients. Violation may result in immediate termination. There it was. The regulation written by people who'd seen this story before. Jessica came home humming, gym bag over her shoulder. She kissed my cheek. "You want leftovers?" If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below about what you think is going to happen next and smash that like button. Trust me, you don't want to miss where this goes. Sure, I said. Good workout? She smiled. Best one all month. I bet. After dinner, she scrolled her phone while I watched the Giants game. I could see the glow on her face every time a message appeared. Her smile was private, the kind that doesn't need witnesses. When she finally went to bed, I sat alone with the TV's blue light flickering across the walls. On the coffee table, the photos lay face down like cards I already knew how to play. I called Brady one last time. I owe you. Just buy me a beer next time you're stateside, he said. What's your next move? Something clean, I said. Something that'll hold. He laughed quietly. That's the Captain Hayes I know. Before turning in, I opened my laptop and drafted an email to Elite Fitness's general manager, Mr. Patel. I told him I had information regarding a policy violation and preferred to discuss it in person. Professional, direct, no drama. When I hit send, I felt a quiet click in my chest, like the sound of a lock sliding into place. The next morning, I was already on my second cup of coffee when Jessica came downstairs. Bright, breezy. You okay? She asked. Never better, I said. Just thinking about some household repairs. She smiled, kissed the top of my head, and left for her private training session. I watched her taillights fade down the street, then whispered to myself, time for phase 2. Saturday morning came clear and warm, the kind of California morning that smells like eucalyptus and salt air. I sat on the back patio with coffee, watching Major chase squirrels across the yard. Inside, the house was quiet. Jessica was still asleep upstairs, phone charging on the nightstand, screen dark, silent. When you've led men in combat, you know when the terrain has shifted, when the mission parameters have changed. You don't panic. You just adjust your strategy and execute. By 8 a.m., I was at my desk. I logged into our joint accounts. Within 15 minutes, I removed her as an authorized user on the Amex, canceled the autopay for Elite Fitness, and stopped payments to her spa membership and subscription services. Not out of spite, out of accountability. A man has the right to decide what he finances. Next, I called Tesla Financial. The Model Y was titled under my name. I had the primary key card. I told them to deactivate the secondary access. They said it would update within 2 hours. That's how you control the perimeter, quietly, legally, completely. At 10 a.m., I printed 3 things. The photos Brady provided, Elite Fitness's policy section on trainer-client relationships, and a brief memo explaining what I'd observed. I placed everything in a clean folder labeled Policy Concern. Then I called Mr. Patel, the gym's general manager. Sir, I said, I'm not calling to cause trouble, just want to protect your facility's reputation. I believe one of your trainers is crossing professional boundaries with an active client. He sighed. You'd be surprised how often this comes up. Can you bring what you have? I can, and I'd prefer this handled discreetly. Understood, he said. I'll review it immediately. At 11 a.m., I drove to Elite Fitness. The parking lot was half full. California sun bouncing off chrome and glass. Inside, the air smelled like disinfectant and ambition. Mr. Patel met me in his glass-walled office, clean desk, framed certifications, bowl of business cards. The kind of man who manages problems before they escalate. I handed him the folder. Everything's in there, I said. I'm not looking for drama, just accountability. He skimmed the pages, exhaled slowly. This is clear enough. We'll address it immediately. Derek's a strong trainer, but this is serious. It's your policy, I said. I'm just helping you enforce it. He nodded. Give me until Wednesday. We shook hands. His grip was firm, respectful. I left knowing the gears were turning. That afternoon, Jessica came downstairs in athleisure, face tight. Hey, the gym called. My payment didn't go through. Did you change something? Bank's probably updating systems, I said, sipping coffee. She frowned. Can you fix it? Soon, I said. She shrugged and kissed my cheek. Don't forget dinner with the Nguyens tomorrow. Wouldn't miss it, I said. When she left, I stood in the doorway, watching her drive away. That Tesla gleamed, untouchable. I went back inside and opened a second gym bag I'd bought the day before, identical to hers. Inside, I placed a printed photo from our wedding, a copy of Elite Fitness's membership policy, and a short note in my handwriting. Every gym has rules, so does marriage. I zipped it shut and set it by the door. By late afternoon, fog rolled in from the bay. The air turned cool and damp. I sat in my recliner, Major at my feet, listening to the house settle. If Jessica noticed anything, the smaller account balance, the subtle distance, she didn't show it. People in denial never do. That night, as the fog pressed against the windows, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling fan turning slow. Jessica slept soundly beside me, unaware the ground beneath her life was shifting. Sometimes accountability doesn't come with thunder. Sometimes it's the quiet closing of a valve. Wednesday came dressed like any other day, but I woke with purpose, the kind that knows something's about to break. The sky was overcast, gray clouds stretched thin over the South Bay. The coffee tasted sharp. Or maybe I just noticed more. Jessica moved around upstairs, humming, pulling on her leggings, her moisture-wicking tank. She called down, "You okay, Rob? You seem distant." "Just thinking about some old missions," I said. She smiled, didn't press. That's the thing about people hiding something. They don't want questions, so they don't ask any either. By 6:30 p.m., she left for Elite Fitness, said she had a new program starting. I watched her taillights fade, then grabbed my keys. The Tesla drove smooth and silent. I parked a block away from the gym, same spot as before. Inside, bright lights reflected off polished floors, mirrors, and steel equipment. EDM music thumped overhead, too upbeat for what was coming. Through the glass, I spotted her on an elliptical near the entrance. Derek, the trainer, stood beside her. Lean, confident, that cocky smile you see on men who think the rules don't apply to them. He adjusted her form, fingers lingering on her shoulder too long to be professional. She laughed, tossed her hair. If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that subscribe button, drop a comment below about what you think is going to happen next, and smash that like button. Trust me, you don't want to miss where this goes. I checked my watch. 7:04 p.m., right on schedule. My phone buzzed. Text from Mr. Patel. "We're handling it now. You're welcome to observe quietly if you wish." I walked inside, pretending to check my phone. The air hit cold and sharp, that mix of sweat, eucalyptus, and determination. Marcus the guard waved. "Evening, Captain." "Evening, Marcus." He hesitated, like he wanted to ask more, but didn't. At the front desk, I saw Mr. Patel step out from his office, clipboard in hand. He spoke to Derek briefly, voice calm but firm, then gestured toward the hallway. Derek frowned, laughed nervously, followed him back inside. The glass blinds shifted closed. 12 minutes ticked by, slow, deliberate. People on machines kept glancing toward that office door, sensing something. Jessica stopped her workout, checked her smartwatch, looked toward the hall. Her foot tapped. Something inside her already knew. When the door finally opened, Derek emerged with a gym bag slung over his shoulder, face pale, jaw tight. No shouting, no drama. Just the kind of silence that means terminated effective immediately. He walked through the lobby without meeting anyone's eyes. A few members whispered. Jessica froze mid-step. The smile died. She turned and saw me. I was leaning against the counter, calm, hands in pockets. The desk clerk glanced between us, then without thinking, handed me the navy duffel I'd brought earlier. "Here you go, sir," she said cheerfully. "You wanted Mrs. Hayes to get this." "Thank you," I said, and placed it on the counter. Jessica walked over, voice low. "Rob, what are you doing here?" "Just making sure policies are followed." Her eyes darted toward the office door. "Did you talk to him?" "I did. Seems they take integrity seriously around here." She whispered. "You humiliated me." "No," I said quietly. "You did that to yourself." She stepped closer, voice shaking. "You had no right. I had every right," I said, meeting her eyes. "I paid for your membership, for his time, for the car that drove you here. I was funding this entire operation." At the counter, the clerk swiped her membership card. Mrs. Hayes, looks like your payment method's been removed. You'll need to update it." Jessica's breath caught. Her hands trembled as she turned toward me. You cut me off? I just stopped paying for what wasn't worth keeping. People nearby pretended not to watch, but you could feel it. The quiet thrill of truth laid bare. I nodded toward the duffel. That's yours. There's something inside you might want to read. She stared, speechless. Marcus cleared his throat behind the desk. Everything all right, Captain? Everything's fine, Marcus. Just setting things straight. He nodded slow, respectful. Understood, sir. I turned toward the door. Jessica called after me, voice cracking. Rob, wait, please. I paused just long enough to say, I told you once. I build order out of chaos. I know when something's broken beyond repair. Then I walked out into the California evening. Outside, the parking lot glowed under streetlights and fading twilight. Derek stood by his car, stuffing gear into the trunk, jaw tight, eyes burning. For a second, he looked like he wanted to say something. I met his gaze and shook my head once. He looked down, slammed the trunk shut. When I got into the Tesla, the leather seat felt cool, steady. Through the rearview mirror, I could see the reflection of the gym, Jessica still inside, motionless, clutching that navy bag. The sun slipped lower, washing the sky in amber and red, the same color as endings. The next morning felt lighter than it had in months. Sunlight poured through the windows, dust floating like gold in the air. The house was quiet, peaceful quiet, not the kind that hides something. I made coffee, opened the sliding door, and stepped onto the patio. The hills stretched out in front of me, golden grass waving in the breeze. Major lay at my feet, chin on his paws, tail thumping softly, like he understood everything. Jessica didn't come home. She didn't call either. I figured she was staying with her sister in San Francisco, or maybe just driving until the silence caught up with her. Didn't matter. Some lessons are learned on long roads. By 10 a.m., I got a text from Mr. Patel. Situation resolved. Mr. Chen's contract terminated. We appreciate your discretion. Discretion. That's a good word for men like me. We don't need crowds or applause. We just want things put right. A week passed. I heard from a neighbor that Derek had packed up and moved. Maybe Arizona, maybe Nevada. Word around the gym was he'd violated policy. No details, just quiet judgment, the kind that lingers longer than shouting ever could. As for Jessica, her card stopped working. Her Tesla access was deactivated. The mortgage reminders went to her email instead of mine. Nothing illegal, nothing cruel, just the natural closing of doors that had stayed open too long. I started spending more time at the VA center, helping younger veterans file claims, sometimes grabbing lunch after appointments. They talk about lost marriages, broken trust, and I just listen. The older I get, the more I realize listening is the work. On Sunday evenings, I drive out along Highway 9, windows down, smell of redwoods drifting in. Sometimes I pass Boulevard Restaurant, that same place from the receipt, and smile. Not bitter, just grateful for clarity. I still wear my wedding ring, not out of hope, out of respect for what it once meant. You don't erase history, you learn from the mission logs. One night, my sister called from Texas. Rob, you doing okay? Better than ever, I told her. Finally got my house back in order. She laughed. You always did know how to fix things. Yeah, I said. Some just take a little longer than others. The patio lights flickered as I hung up. Major lifted his head, waiting for his evening walk. The world was quiet again. Not empty, just steady. I looked out at the open California sky and thought, Jessica chose a man who lifted weights. I chose to lift my dignity. Weights go down, dignity stays up. So if you're listening and you've been hurt, don't waste your voice shouting. Stand tall, take back your calm, let silence do the talking. And if this story meant something to you, share it with someone who's forgotten what stillness feels like. Maybe it'll remind them that peace isn't weakness. It's just a soldier finally laying down his rifle after the mission's done right. Also hit that subscribe button.